Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to this shop. Uh, what I'm getting ready to show you is something that I'm not proud of. I have been sitting on this build for probably the better part of 6 years now. Um, and I'm ashamed that I haven't gotten it any further than I have, but there's a pretty big reason, a couple of big reasons why I haven't. So let me turn this camera around and I will show you something that I think I'm ready to complete at this point. Y'all know that these are here and the ones that I need to get on that one also, but I've been putting a lot of time in on them. I don't attack things in order. I kind of bounce around, my three Volkswagens, pardon that cluster of cords there. But I've got one that I need to finish, and because I dabble in a lot of stuff. But this has been sitting, let's say, in dry dock since around 2016, 17. So yeah, longer than that. It's about 7 years total. Now, as you can see, it is a wood boat. It does have brass props on it. Prop shafts and all are in it. It's a hand-built kit. What's a kit? Obviously hand-built ball. It's a Dumas kit. This is a Trojan. I think it's a Trojan F-31. And I've spent a lot of time on it. Now, it's been sitting on the top of my shelf over here for a long time, and it's been neglected. It needs a couple places rebuilt, as like the bow, the tip of the bow there. And I screwed up on the front windows. That's one reason why I kind of stopped. But I was building this as a tribute or a replica boat of my granddad's boat. Now, mind you, the superstructure is the upper portion here, lifts out. I'll take it out in a second. Is not completely identical to my granddad's boat. This has been a learning process. I've never built boats before, but since I've taken it on, I have learned a lot more than I realize. And so I'm going to completely redo this superstructure. I'm going to take this off. You see the bottom is the main portion I'm worried about. And so I'm going to use that bottom as a template and cut another piece and then build my own cabin structure, superstructure, whatever you want to call it, and attempt to get this closer to being ready for the water. This video is going to be completely raw, so this is how I found it. So here's a majority of the plans, instructions, whatever you want to call them, but on how this thing goes together. And let me tell you, when I say it's intimidating for a guy like me, look at all this. And this is just one portion. Now, mind you, when I got this thing, I took the plans out of the box and I was dumbfounded about how correct they were. It was almost like you were getting ready to build a one-to-one boat. And it scared me to death. As you can see, the inside of it, as I said, does have the stuffing tubes, or I'll just call them shaft tubes. But when I got the boat built, I sent it over to my buddy Kevin that owns the racetrack that I used to race at, because I was terrified to cut those holes to put those brass tubes in for the props. And Kevin's a hell of a boat builder. And so I sent it to him. Still nervous, but I sent it to him, and he nailed it. He did a great job on it. He actually did that, hung the struts for the shafts, and put in shafts for the rudders, which he actually brazed together and built there as well. Now I've got to run them up through those tubes, obviously, and then find a servo arm to power them in unison. But yeah, it's been sitting, like I said, close to 7 years. Everything it's dry. and it needs some attention. It needs to be finished. It doesn't have any fiberglass on it, obviously. And there's some structural stuff that I need to do, but I still have all the extra wood and some other wood. I think I still have it that I bought to redo the superstructure, but I just kind of stopped. So it's too dry. I don't have to buy more. This is my first attempt on a boat. It's not perfect, but I did the best I could. These kits are awesome, but they are a pain because it is intimidating when you open those plans and you see all that wood, that laser cut wood that you've got to get right and get to mount to the the frame or whatever you want to call it, all the stringers and it's just, everything. That keel center right there was a pain to put together and get up, and that's one of the first pieces that you have to do, and then build off of that, obviously. But I did make some mistakes, and I'm learning from them, so I'm not so sick with it anymore that I don't feel that I feel like I can't finish it. So I feel like I need to get started on it and get it done. This is the drive system. As you saw, this thing has two props, and this was a drive system that you had to buy this separate for this boat. And it's a nice piece. I can appreciate the mechanical aspect of it, but it's a nightmare to try to adjust. As you can see, all these things. It's really dry and it needs some attention. But what I'm going to do is, rather than mount this in here, because this thing is fairly heavy. I know it needs a lot of ballast, but it would mount up in here somewhere, and then there'd be dog bones that go from the shafts over to one of these inputs on either side. I'm not going to run this, and I'm just going to build a wooden plate, or make a wooden plate that sits across, and then hang two motors off of it. Hang two motors from the back through. I have those cups. I have some extra cups here that I can mount directly to the shaft on these motors, and then just run a dog bone from there to there, from the end of the motor to the input shafts on these, and should be fine. It shouldn't need a lot of power. I'm not going to try to do an opposing motor setup. I'm just going to have them run together as a pair, so it only need one ESC. You should be able to power it off of a 2S LiPo very easily, and power it just fine. I built another boat a while back, and I loved it to death. Now, it was ABS plastic. There's a video of it on there. It's a Sportfisher 40. Take a look at it, and you'll see the kind of detail I'll try to put in them. But that boat, I didn't want to get rid of it, but a guy bought it. He wanted it worse. Well, I'll say worse than I did. That's my favorite line. But he paid me a ridiculous amount of money for that boat. He wanted it so bad. So I hated to turn it loose because it was a rare kit, and that's one reason why he paid me as much as he did. But that boat sold for an obscene amount of money. And but this one, once I get it together, will not go anywhere. I need to get started. I do a lot of the ground stuff, and when I say ground stuff, I'm talking about the cars, the trucks, that whole gamut. But this boat's been incredibly hard for me to finish. When I decided to do it, because of the lines on it, as a replica of my granddad's old Chris Craft, it was tough. It was really tough to get in there and find a motivation to do it, because my granddad taught me more than he probably realized. We used to share the little boats together. He, used to take me to the coast, and we had a house down there, and I go out and sit flounder nets and do shrimp nets, and not on some great big commercial scale, but just what he liked to do. And then they passed some laws years ago and limited the ability to do that kind of stuff. You had to have a commercial license to do it. Well, my granddad passed away before he could get a commercial license to do it, and a commercial fisheries license. And so now when I go to working on this, I feel closer to him. And for some reason, I always wind up playing, the style of music that he would enjoy back in those days. And it just, you know, I've been accused, and I'm not trying to get all mushy here, but I've been accused of having a huge heart. And so the memories come back, and it's just, before it's over with, I'm just at that point where I can't do it anymore, because it's almost, even as much as I enjoy it, it's emotionally draining. But uh, but I'm tired of looking at it up on top of that shelf way over there, and it needs to be finished. So give me some input if you guys would like to see more about this boat. I'll be more than glad to put more up there. I don't want to overrun it with boat stuff. I do enjoy the boats, I really do. But I don't want to bore anybody with just boat from here on. But anyway, that's the next one right there. Well, it's in line. It's not the next one, but it's going to give me something to work for and work towards. But thanks for watching. If you made it this far, consider subscribing, like the vid, and we'll catch you on the next one. Be a decent human. Tell those that matter to you in your life. If you love them, tell them you love them before it's too late. We'll catch you on the next video. Take care.